All right, guys, you guys are all watching the Artist Roundtable on Comics Cast. This is going to be a live show. It's going to be about an hour and a half long. We've got ourselves an array of independent artists, creators, success stories, challenges. We'll also have somebody that's not on right now, but he'll get on shortly. And we're going to make sure that at any point, if you guys want to jump on the show, the link is going to be in the comments. So go ahead and jump on that. Come on, ask these guys any questions, or if you want to show some of your own artwork, the floor is open. So we'll have about an hour and a half to have a great conversation with these guys. We got Michael Oden, who just had an amazing freaking Elysian Fields success story. It's still up. We'll talk more about that. And he's got follow-on issues coming from that as well. Jim O'Reilly, who has right now he's working on Mojo Rising, as you can see on his text, which is great. We'll have a lot of his imagery up. We'll talk about his con success and kind of what's going on with him now that we're a little bit dried up on cons, but it seems like he's got the connections with other indie creators. So we'll see how that's going. And then Ryan McCoy, who is the Apocalypse graphic novel creator and a pretty decent presence in his own right. And I think, what is it, over 100 pages on that graphic novel, Ryan?
111. Somebody
111 pages.
Comment today on Facebook under the ad said,
"Yeah,
looks like a great novel, but only 111 pages."
Only 111.
What do they think you are? You're George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, I am the lead host for the show. Creator of Comics Cast. I love the opportunity to build a platform for indie creators. We also highlight amazing industry professionals. So it's all just a platform to really build up the community, have everybody network with each other, and then actually make and form a fan base that's unified versus fragmented among different people's campaigns. So that's our job here. That's what we do, broadcast this. And then Gerald, my partner in crime, the great and wonderful Gerald, who is a fantastic artist, working on various different projects, and co-host and co-founder of Comics Cast. So that all being said, when we ask you guys questions, it's not going to be a forum where we're just like, hey, you talk, you talk, you talk. This will be crosstalk. You guys can talk to each other at any point. This is just a conversation to get to know you guys and know your IPs. So that being said, Gerald, you got any questions, or you want to push anything off the boat here, and we'll just go swimming?
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Joe, for the intro, and great and wonderful are things that I don't really put in front of my name, but thank you for saying that. But you guys, I'm all fans of your work, and it's great that you're independent guys that are trying to make it, and all are. I have so much respect for you, all. So I'm just gonna throw a question out here on the floor. It's like, what inspired you guys to take on this, to just jump headfirst into doing your own thing, creating your own art? What inspired you to just do that and kind of buck the system and not go the Marvel or the DC or the big route? What inspired you to do your own thing? And I'll start with Mr. Oden, since he's directly aside from me, and then we'll just go around the corner. So
the big thing that inspired me was honestly the wall, as what I would call it. And what I mean by that is, you, as a fan of comics and what have you, there are certain companies, there are certain things that you want to work with and progress your career. And when you don't have a lot of experience, it gets it's very difficult to breach that wall. Mm-hmm. And so after having a whole bunch of run-ins with it and getting a few cracks in there, but never quite breaking through, I just decided to go around it and make my own thing. And that's how Nine Realms Publishing, that's how Elysian Fields all came to be.
A great story. And I'm glad that you could make that leap. Jim, in terms of I think is it your OC, the Mojo Rising? Is that?
It's not my original character. I'm working with Third Empire Studios with Greg Harms. It was created by a guy named Raj Mahan, and Raj and I met through another failed project that happened, and we got together. And he had this character, and he showed me some designs and said, "Hey, you know, I drew up like a couple sketches. He loved it, and then we started talking about doing an origin story, and it just flowed. It just really flowed. I love the character. I love, you know, being able to write and draw, which will be my first attempt. But going back to your original question, it's just old age. I'm old. I wish it could be more exciting.
Oh no!
You know, rather than beat away, you know, the young competition with a stick. I broke out of doing comics like in the 90s. You know, built my family, and now I'm at a stage where I can kind of do my own thing and you know, start kind of getting back into comics. So I started with the shows. I started with the whole Marvel, DC, and you know, trying to get with that. But then I said, you know what? I'm at that age now where I just want to do my own story, and things are just falling in line with Third Empire. And I love the story. I love the character, and I'm building the story, the origin story. So
yeah, that's
a lot of fun.
So your inspiration is something that's been kind of quietly gestating in the background. You kind of had to get certain life things together, and now this is your time.
Sure.
I think that what was it? They said that Jack Kirby didn't even start until he was like in his mid 40s, I believe. So that's, you know, inspiration comes early, maybe, or even later. But the point of the matter is that you guys are creating things, you know, and you know, answering the call, you're answering the inspiration. So thanks, Ryan. What inspired you? I know that you got that 100-page inspiration right there. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to get to go indie. You know.
Well, for the comic book specifically, it took about 16 rejection letters from comic book publishers to then just I've had someone. I'm not in the comic book world. Like I grew up with them as a kid, of course, and stuff like that. And this is my first foray. But I had somebody who kind of helped me through the whole process, because what I did just turned a screenplay into the graphic novel. And he started a company that does specifically that. He's an amazing man, and has been writing comics for like 30 years. And so just under his advice at the end, we kind of, you know, just went the self-publishing route on Amazon. And just from all the stories I had heard of, even if you do get a book published through a publisher, it's still kind of based on like your own legwork in terms of like how many books you're going to sell, you know. And I'm okay with like an ego, so it's like I don't need to be published, you know. Like, and he had like two, you know, one publisher out of the UK and then a big publisher here in the US. And he's like, look, the US guy is like dealing with Netflix. He won't be able to do it for a year. And the UK one probably won't get in stores. And I was like, I don't really care. I just want it out there and done so I can like just start building an audience for it. And, you know, my only plan is to make it into a movie. That's all I've been trying to do. I wrote it in 2012 as a screenplay.
Right.
And have been even passed on an option in 2014 because I knew they weren't going to execute it in the vision that I had for it. And so then I'm doing this to create an audience, to build up an audience, hopefully to flip that attention and, you know, make it into a movie, because I think it's going to be a fucking awesome movie.
So your inspiration though, it came from, I mean, like do you think of yourself primarily, as I was reading, you know, researching you, do you see yourself comic indie first or movie indie first, or combination of both, or a means to an end? Is that, I know you're inspired, you know, to do these type of things.
Yeah, definitely movies are my life and my thing. I've always been an anarchist, you know. I've always just been rebellious and black sheep of the family, youngest of the family, little brother, like, you know, I've just been through my shit. Or I'm sorry,
It's okay. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
The morning before all stuff. But, anyway, so I've always been that rebellious anarchist stuff, and I made my first independent film right out of film school, which I didn't graduate the last, you know, like dropped out early. I made my second one just guerrilla backyard on my own thing, and then getting ready to do my third in September, same thing. It just like, and now I have just in my industry, I just see so much opportunity and so much creativity because I've because of the internet and things like that, I've like branched out and ventured into other forums of artists and creators, and just am blown away at the amount of creativity that is there. And for me, like where I'm at, Hollywood is only taking that much of it.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna definitely follow up with that. You know, I'm gonna let Joe sort of like but yeah, that comment, I want to share that with the other guests that are here and get their take on it as well. But Joe, you want to lead with another question?
Yeah. My thing is like one of the, and we'll stay with you just for a second, Ryan, real quick, because I want to follow up on what you're talking about. Is like, I think we all have influences from our 90s work. If you're an indie comic artist, specifically at this table, I think there's a lot of influence on what everyone's doing. But one of the things that we've had brought up in the past is, you know, if you're going to make a book and the idea is you want to just make a movie with it, then why make the book? So I find that really fascinating because, yeah, that's probably true if your main point is you want to make a character and then make it into a movie. I think when you're looking at it from your point of view, where you sit, you're like, okay, I have this story that I want to make into a movie. But first, you know, these guys are visual creatures. They want to see it. They need to see what it looks like, all that sort of thing. So that's a brilliant way to kind of back into it. I think there's people in the industry that do that. That's not uncommon, to make another kind of concept.
From my perspective, it's obvious. It's an obvious choice not to.
Yeah.
Though it's mainstream shied away from and looked at. You shouldn't be doing that. But I mean, like, it's just, if you just look at human nature, like that's where my big thing is I've studied storytelling like back into the, you know, Aristotle days and things, you know, and like just deep, and humans are the same. We haven't changed a bit. And our consumption of story and we like to hear the same stories over and over. How many times Shakespeare, like how many recreations of the same story do you see? So like, my thing is like, I can put my story out there if it's good.
Yes.
If I've structured it in the way, if I put the work in crafting the story, you know, then it doesn't matter how many times you see it. Then you want to see it in different variations. You don't want to see it in musical, like, you know, if executed well, like.
And I think that's a really good point. I think what you're trying to say is more about there are archetypes that humans relate to, and it's not telling, so-called telling the story over per se. It's more about telling that archetype that, you know. And I think that's one thing I think. Mike, you kind of alluded to. We talked a little bit about this before. Good storytelling is essential, and I think that when we talk about independent versus the mainstream, big 2, big 3, you know, studio, it's like I think that storytelling being you know, you're talking about you understanding where good storytelling comes from, getting those familiar archetypes out there, and getting a story, a character, your IP, your original character, to tell that story in a somewhat different way, but it's relatable. That's where it connects with the audience, and I think that's kind of what's maybe a little bit lacking in some of the big guys, and what's maybe is brought to the table by independents like you guys. So, Mike, you want to maybe like give your thoughts in terms of that?
So I think that the and we had talked a little bit about this prior, but I do think that one of the greatest things about the independent industry is that we are literally on our own. Like we have to like fight for every single dollar we get, and as a result, you cannot afford to not tell a good story. Like there are a lot of people in the main line who will put out a book, and they know that they've got like a 6-issue series deal kind of bit. And so that's not to say that they aren't that like they're not going to put their best effort into it, but they have security, and so they can get comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
And that complacency kills. Like that is I served for like 6 years, served in the military for 6 years, and that was like one of the big things at Fort Benning when I was at basic was, when you're on watch and everything, don't stay complacent. Do something. Always do something. because complacency kills. And it's the same thing in the creative world. Because if you get comfortable, if you start to write yourself into a rut, people are going to stop being interested. If you're not putting something new out there that challenges everything that you've done before, if you don't write every single issue like it could be your last, then you're not going to maintain that audience. And there's nothing that you can do to gain that back. The moment that you lose a customer, they're gone. Like you might be able to snag them back if you work really hard, but it's so much easier if you continue to push your craft. You should always be learning. I feel that the people that tend to fall off the map are the people that they get to the top of the mountain and they say, or they get to where they think they need to be, and they say, well, I'm done. I've reached what I needed to be. You should always be pushing for higher. There's always a new summit to climb. You know, I just funded my first book, and it was awesome.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks. In progress to the next book. I've got a main cover. I've got, and we talked a little bit about it before, but we already have, we have several variants coming in. I've got Scott Rosema is going to be doing a cover for the next book. Kevin Sharp is going to be doing a cover for the next book.
Yeah, he was a guest. Yeah, he was a former guest. And
great guy.
Yeah.
And then we also have, and I mentioned this before, we're going to be having on the next book, we're going to be having a future artists perk tier where we have a young aspiring comic book artist who is going to be doing a variant cover for our book, and we're going to be donating a portion of our sales to him so that he can keep pushing forward. But like that's awesome. That's the things that you have to keep looking for. You have to keep pushing, and every single thing that you do in this industry and in the indies, that's all we have. This isn't something that we can just kind of be relaxed on. You have to be going at it. This is the dream. You have to chase it.
Let me read this comment because I think it's important as we move forward. It's kind of where we were going to go anyway. Phil said the amount of passion in your project is shown in the pages of your books or other mediums. No passion or positive energy, no audience. So that's what that's what you were talking about, Michael. So just to expand on that, what you were talking about was the concern of losing fans, losing somebody who was interested in your work. But also part of the challenge is how to go about building a big enough fan base. When do you pull the trigger to launch your campaigns? How do you go about building those networks with artists that can make that concept art, that design that's really, really fresh and clean and will get somebody's attention? And, how do you sell yourself as an individual? You kind of first have to see their face or see your project. Obviously, your project has to be as good as it can be. I'm not going to argue for perfection, because I think a lot of creators never finish anything because they're always worried it's not going to be perfect. But that being said, how do you go about building that audience up? And is social media the best way to do it? Like the indie world landscape is ever changing. Indiegogo. What's the other one? I can't remember.
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter,
big one.
So Indiegogo, Kickstarter, like those, and then those have their own challenges.
They do.
So what's the best way? Do you use Instagram? Like, what's the best way to reach that audience and build it? I think a lot of people want to know that from the challenges, success stories that you guys are having.
So I think that actually depends on what side of the coin you're on. For me, from a writing standpoint, my best avenue is Twitter.
Okay.
I put stuff out there, I give updates, and that could change in like a year. Like that's something that I'm gonna have to
it's a moving target.
Track of. Mm-hmm. But from like an artist standpoint, if I were Jim, I would be having I would have an Instagram, mm-hmm. because Instagram's whole thing is that it's a visual platform, right? Yeah. So it honestly depends on which side of things you're going from. And as far as when is the right time to launch your book, honestly, that's going to be up to a personal thing. At the end of the day, you can make it work any which way. I think that my greatest mistakes that I made with my campaign was I launched it too early. I didn't have enough promotion prior, and I had initially set our flex goal too high. I'd set it to 10K, and with no build up prior, there was no way I was going to reach that. And luckily, I found out that Indiegogo does give you a one-time switch of your flex goal, and so that's what I did. Is I brought it down, and we hit it, and it's awesome, and it's great, and that's what you want. But like, you need to. I feel that honestly, hitting the launch button on your campaign is something that is entirely up to you. If you're willing to put that work in, and you have to either way, but if you're really willing to go the extra millionth mile, you can launch that campaign whenever.
Yeah. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
The big thing is how much work do you want to do? Do you just want to like be consistently riding through and throw in like a few updates every here and there, or are you willing to be at the computer nonstop 24/7 for the 2 months that your campaign can maximum run?
Yeah, these are all good things, because I know that when I look at Kickstarter or Indiegogo, when I see all these talented independent artists that are putting out their things, part of me, I've been burned before. You know, I want to support everyone that I love. I mean, I see the passion that's there, but the things that have become more discriminating in terms of what I see in the Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or any type of campaign. It's like I tend to look at it now is that as much as I love the art or the artist or the story, is that I want it to be as close to being finished as possible. Like, it just needs to be pushed over the finish line. Yeah. And I'm gonna like talk to Ryan here about that. Is that, you know, he has a book already. You have a product already, and then you've had your own challenges with these things. And to me, I'm looking at it, I see your breadth of work, the passion that you put into your short movies, you have a book that's out there, but you've had your own challenges with social, or with these crowdfunding things. But I think that if you can kind of listen to what Mike sort of said, how do you feel? I mean, when you hear what Mike kind of did, do you feel like that's something that you want to change, or you need to like maybe think of it your approach? Because I really think that you have a great product. It's just a challenge, right?
Here's where my headspace has been for the last like 2 minutes, I guess, is when we're talking about, and this is specific to my industry, and I spend a lot of time engaging because I'm passionate about the next generation of filmmakers that are coming that are growing up, because I'm old enough now and I have enough battle scars. And when I look at the talent and just I gave a talk to the USC Film School, like that's the elite, right? The top of the top, like 3 years ago. And I thought like the level of talent that is at right there, the next people that are coming to the game, they have no idea what they're doing, and they're going to get slaughtered by the system, you know? And I live in Los Angeles, and I've seen the bottom of the bottom in this town and what this industry does, and literally like have brought people to the very bottom, myself included, you know, and serious stuff, very serious stuff. And it is, it's so frustrating to me, because what you were talking about before about like, you know, being an independent, what that means and stuff like that. And to me, it's having a vision for yourself, and like where social media comes in, like what play should you do, or, you know, what avenue should you go on, or what strategies. Those are things you can get to, of course, that are important. But like the thing that I do not see across the board from people in my industry that are trying to up and come, that are, you know, trying to learn, is they have not put a mirror in front of themselves and sat and stared and looked really long and hard and asked themselves why they're even picking up a camera, or why they're picking up a pencil. What are you trying to say? Because and the beauty about being an independent, and why I love it more than anything, is that, and because of the internet, this is so like what platform, whatever, it doesn't matter because now we have it. The one thing that I didn't have, I'm old, I'm going to be 40 at the end of this year. So like, I knew what it was like to like send print out, 80 copies of your script or print out 100, 200 headshots with your resume and mail them, walk around, hand deliver stuff, like to try to hand deliver like anything, like screenings, whatever. Now you have this. Are you kidding me? If I were my son, I have a 6-year-old son who's like already doing YouTube videos and like just loving it. And I'm like, if I were him, if I had this, I would be destroying right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not, because I have these scars, and with these scars come stories, and that's what is missing from the next generation is coming is they think the stories they need to tell are covered in spectacle when they're incorrect. Humans identify with the structure of the story and the characters of the story first and foremost. The spectacle is the icing on the cake, man.
Right. So yeah. So I call certain types of movies, like I like to go to the theater to watch what I call popcorn films, which are
the Michael Bay movies.
Like, the Michael Bay.
I got so much love for him.
I like Michael Bay.
Just enough story to allow you're basically getting on a roller coaster ride and you're just having fun. Like, but in the great stories, there's always, or the great movies rather, there's a combination of both. And one of the things I wanted to ask about one of the things you said was, hey, you should have a voice. You should have a reason why you're picking up the pencil, typing on the computer, whatever it is. And that'll give you purpose and that'll create good content. So tell us a little bit about what Apocalypse is, the Apocalypse story that you told. Like it's a long story, so might as well give us a little bit of it. What's your?
It's a great story. I just went over it last night with my buddy. So I made a found footage horror film. It came out in 2012 called Evidence. Okay, and it went viral. And it, like the day it got released on DVD in the UK in English language, literally within 48 hours, it had like shot up to 200 on IMDb. It would be reposted everywhere. Anyway, my star got hit. Paramount called me. Like I screened it for them. It was like this big opportunity. Agents, managers, all these people called me. I was taking all these meetings. And the problem was that I had nothing left. I had nothing to follow up with. I just swung for the fences and just put everything into making a film, and I did it and got noticed, but had nothing to follow up with. And I was like, I write fast, whatever. And so, this manager I met with at the time said, whatever, you need something. So I went back home and I remember sitting at my desk, and I have like thousands of DVDs, and they were all alphabetized on these shelves, and A to Z, and Z was the last one. And I looked, and it was the movie Zulu. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Michael Caine and everything.
Michael Caine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a true story. Zulu, so
yeah, I got you.
And I said, oh, that's it. A bunch of people, a bunch of things attacking one location. Like I need one location. I need to keep it small, compact, like tight. Cool. Done. Quickly, how do you need a big body count? Zombies are an easy play. What hasn't been done? What, I don't know. I just started thinking. I grew up Catholic, 9 years. My mom worked at the church for 33 years. So like religion's just in me, even though whatever opinions about it. But
draw from your experience, draw from your wisdom, right?
Yeah. And I like the concept of it being after the rapture. And so all the characters are already bad characters. Essentially, they've all been left behind. So they were all bad people in some form, or another, during regular time. But then within these 8 characters, there are even worse characters. You know what I mean? You still have your villainous characters and your hero characters, but it's like, well, they're still all left behind. Like after the rapture, they're all still pieces of shit.
It's relative though. I mean, that's why you're developing a compelling story.
I am comfortable in the gutter. I like being with the unnoticed that crowd, and so it's kind of a representation of that. But I wrote the screenplay in 4 days. No shit. I didn't outline. I didn't outline. I literally sat down on my computer and just banged this thing out. And although it went through rewrites, you know, the beats never changed. The characters never really changed. And yeah. And so it's the same story as when I sat, it's kind of like my hit single. I mean, I just sat down like, you know, and there it was. So
I always find that so crazy awesome how some of the greatest stories ever told. I mean, Rocky was written in like a day. And obviously, you know, there were rewrites and everything like that. But like the idea that something has to take you forever to be popular and appreciated and loved, it's not the case. And I think people are always worried about like, and I think we've brought this up on other shows, is the idea that, you know, you have to spend 4 or 5 hours on a piece of artwork or whatever, maybe 20 hours. And you think that's your best work when your pencil sketch was your best work, you know, and it took you 20 minutes to just kind of bang it out. And everybody loves your pencil work. And you're like, but I spent all this time on this other thing that I want to sell for a bunch of money. And they're like, no, I want your pencil work there, you know. Some of Frank Frazetta's pencil work, I mean, I would kill to have some of that work. Like the guy's a genius.
Yeah, and I think the follow up on this in general, and this is for all of us, is that it may have taken you 20 minutes or 4 hours, or you did this in 4 days. It's a culmination of your life. You know, you may have banged out that story in 4 days or did a pencil sketch in 20 minutes, but it's not representative of your experiences or things that you've gone through. You know, I think there's several like stories that are going out there right now about people that will do commission work, or they'll do things, and sometimes the commissioner, whoever's, you know, wanting the work, they'll say, you know, why is it worth? Why do you think I need to pay you X amount of money to do this type of thing when it only took you this long to do it? And it's not that it took you that long to do it. It's you, like, I'm going to use Ryan's words. Ryan said that he was in the gutter. You know, and that showed the scars that made him come up with those stories that are uniquely personal to him, and that's why he can be the storyteller that he is. And I'm sure Mike and Jim can also be share their experience in terms of like what they went through.
A lot of mental issues and some demons as well, so that always helps.
Well, that's
control of them and make friends with them.
Yes, you know, that's being human, right? That's telling a compelling story. That's not, like you said, that's all sunshine and rainbows, because not everybody wants to read, you know, those kind of stories. They want to say that they want to see characters that maybe go through the same struggles that they do, not necessarily a zombie apocalypse, but, you know, or the rapture, but they want to like be able to see that, you know. And I think that's what's kind of like missing is like in like some of the mainstream stuff. Independents give that gritty angle, you know. They can tell a story that maybe might not be accepted by the mainstream, and those are the independent. That's the independent angle. Now, Jim, can you talk a little bit about you know the character?
Well, before we jump to Jim,
okay.
Just because I you know, as we bring somebody in, I just want to take at least 1 second to be like, hey, we're letting someone into the show. So Alton is in the show.
No problem.
Empires in New Jersey. We'll jump on Jim here in a second because we haven't really talked to him yet. But Alton is a great I want to say ally of the show. He's been fantastic. He's a total beast. You know, he is massively successful with his work. He's beat the pavement and everything like that. So he asks questions, and you know, ask him questions, whatever. Like, let's have a little crosstalk with Alton as well.
Yes.
But so thanks for being on the show, jumping on. For everyone else who's watching, you guys can jump on too, and we'll bring you in as we see it. So hopefully you weren't in the green room forever, Alton.
Yeah, I just I never get a chance to talk film. And this is a script that I actually pitched. I didn't have the full script when I was at American Film Market.
Artwork looks familiar to me. The girl with the black.
Yes,
the Empires of New Jersey is everywhere. It's a good looking book, man.
Well, it's a script. So it's one of the scripts that I wrote that I knew as an independent I didn't have enough money to film. And when I was at American Film Market, like 4 years ago, pitching my other movie that's on Amazon right now.
Did we meet?
Yeah, I mean, LA is a nightmare. It was a lot. I mean, my wife got us literally a pitch meeting, and it was like right out of The Player with Tim Robbins. We fly out there from Jersey. We're all excited. They open the festival, the market. Everybody's around this beautiful pool. Beautiful people, all dressed lovely, all great looking. We go out. We give our pitch to the girl around the pool. And of course, we don't have a B-list celebrity attached to my movie, and it's not marketable. There's another movie that was already in the Philadelphia Independent Film Festival, so it'd been around a while. But it's a real formula in Hollywood, and independence in Hollywood, independence outside of Hollywood, and independence in comics, we kind of have to break the mold that these institutions set. Yeah. And when you do that, you free yourself up for all kinds of new storytelling.
My man, and I'm telling you, I've been so close to them for so long.
Yeah, that my heart breaks for you because I saw how it was out there. It is tough in LA.
Yeah, I've been here long enough, and I've seen enough from the inside, and I have inside.
That's a script all by itself.
Figure it out, man. I got to figure it out.
I'm gonna jump in a little bit here and just sort of before we get back to Jim in terms of your comments, both Alton and Ryan. You guys are preaching. This is something that I think that independent comics, independent movies, the state of social media, the state of the internet, the state of the world with the pandemic that's going on, it's allowed, there was a lot of cracks. There was a lot of dirt that was out there that was preventing, your voices from being heard. And with this whole thing, it's kind of been a leveling field. You can't go to these debut pool parties anymore because of COVID. But what's happening is now this is an opening. And I think Ryan kind of talked to this in some of his videos that he talked about. And I think it's a sentiment that's probably shared by all of you, is that in this state of the world today, it has never been a better opportunity for independent writers, movie makers, comics, illustrators, inkers to put their content out there, because you don't have to rely on a big studio, whether that's movies or comics, to get it out there. It's just being able to harness it, being able to put it out there, and I think as independents, we shouldn't look at as each other as competition, but lift each other up. I mean, Mike was talking about how he was promoting this independent artist. Both. I think all of us have experiences where we're kind of trying to reach out and connect each other, other independents, to get our visions out there. So my little take on just hearing what you're all saying, let's all grab for it. There's plenty of room at the table for all independents to be the Michael Bays, to be the Jim Lees.
I mean, for my industry, I don't know about the comics, but I mean, media is media, right? There's about 5 people that run all media, right? Is they are hanging on by a thread, and they're being run by 27-year-old kids with degrees from Stanford that are running it by a spreadsheet. I'm not joking you. Excel spreadsheets on what movies and get greenlit and whatnot, and what actors get placed where, and have no concept of the reality of storytelling and film and structure. And I just think, oh boy, if we just start delivering for the fans, if we just start giving for them, just entertain, give. It's only a matter of time before they just slowly start to turn away and I don't need you. I can, stories are fantastic.
To bring that to the comic book sides of things, what happened with Diamond Distribution was the greatest thing that could have happened for indie comics. 100%. Diamond was for you, Ryan.
Diamond was LA.
Okay.
Essentially, Diamond had a monopoly over the comic book industry for years. Every company did distribution through them, and during COVID, about I think a week or two into the quarantine, Diamond said that they weren't going to be shipping anyone's books anywhere, and so now no books were coming into the industry, nothing. And this really opened the doors for indie guys, and you had all sorts of independent creators coming out there and putting their stuff out. And now, you've got indie books rising that normally might have been struggling to hit that 10K mark, getting in towards 20, 30K, because these people don't have the content that they used to. And on top of that, the content that's being provided by the indie community is so much higher quality. I mean, look at Jim O'Reilly's Mojo Rising, right? If you've seen the cover that dude did for that book.
Alone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, that is on par with like professional stuff from like 20 years ago that's been missing from the industry for a long time. And like, dude, that cover alone, the moment that thing launches, I'm getting a perk tier.
Yeah.
Like 100%. And like, you know, just look at that.
Yeah.
Like, how are you gonna be like wasting like $6 on a Marvel book where they hired some person that like they're not bad at art, but like they're clearly not an industry veteran and they don't understand composition as well. When you have this,
Yeah.
like, look at that. It's gorgeous. I like it. And he did another. The first time I met Jim, I was on Indie Vault, and he was doing the pencils and inks on another page in the book,
The chapter cover.
the chapter cover, and I was just like, "What? This is ridiculous!" And like, you don't like, as someone that's been reading comics since I can't even remember, like, I don't think I've seen art that good in a comic book outside of maybe like McFarlane's Spawn.
Oh, stop. No way. I can't touch those guys.
I'm not,
Great promo, but no.
no, like I'm not trying to like but like what I mean is that
I
quality,
appreciate it.
that quality has been missing, and like you don't see that unless it's people like McFarlane, unless it's people like Lee, unless it's people like David Finch. Like there have been a small handful of artists that have come out in the last 5 years or so that I can care enough to remember their names, and like the top one of them, the top two I can think of are like Ryan Otley and Jorge Jimenez, who are phenomenal artists. But like that's the whole thing. Is it's just like the quality in indie is just there. Like
It is, but I think the issue is we're gonna run into is consistency. So making sure that I think the stories are there for sure, because we are telling stories specifically to an audience that's willing to pay for it. If you tell a story and it doesn't sell, you're not going to tell a story again, knowing that you're not going to sell that.
Exactly.
So there is a unity between the independents as well as the buyer that's not there between larger companies because it's just not like they won't go under if they don't sell a few books.
Yeah.
So we do see that's the train and that's where it's going towards.
I think also
Go ahead, Jim.
process is very important for independence. And, you know, I think if the stigma gets out that you're producing a book and you're doing a crowdfunding and you're successful and you don't deliver, that's really going to hurt the industry. It's going to hurt the independence.
And
so I think process is important. And what I've, you know, working with Third Empire, what I've told them is, look, this is how I want to do it. It's a three-phase process. We create. We completely create the book. We market. And we market the heck out of it. We could do some marketing while we're creating, but don't launch until the book is fully created. And then once you deliver, that's your third phase. You're doing your delivery, you're getting your book out. Now in your second book, you may have built some trust with your audience that you can deliver. You're delivering a good product. Sure. Then go ahead and you know, put out 10 pages of your book and start a little bit earlier. But I think for startup independent people, I think we need to have a good product in hand that we've passed out to people, that we've gotten some feedback on, and that book is completely done. Because I think it's really going to hurt independence if you know, big, especially smaller independents. I mean smaller that you don't have the following like a Sean Gordon Murphy. You know, Sean Gordon Murphy just launched. He's got 150,000 in his first day.
Incredible.
Fantastic for Sean. Sean has a great following. I don't think smaller independent people can expect that kind of a turnout unless you have that proven product first. So I think that your first project as an independent, you know, you're going to have to really work and work hard and get it done, and you know, work that, especially if you're working with a team. You know, you want your team to be solid. You want them to be throughout the entire book. You know, you don't want to start promoting a book and then you launch it and you're successful and your inker jumps off, or your colors jumps off. I think that you need to be solid, because Marvel, DC, they have that already. They have their inker, their their penciler, their colorist, they have their letterer, they have their distribution set up. Well, they did through Diamond. We have to have that same thing, but maybe on a smaller scale.
Well,
smaller scale, but I think that's the issue again, is we're not necessarily competing with each other.
No.
But we're in our separate little groups, and
Sure.
there's so many of us that it's just like anything else in society. If everybody's in their little groups, they can't really do so much damage. But as we continue to network with the internet, just keep leveraging our ability to network and build larger publishers together.
And I think that goes back to the earlier conversation about platforms. Understanding what platforms market to what groups of people. Your Facebook is going to probably be your friends, your families, your grandmas, where your Instagram is going to be your younger art population, where your Twitter is going to be a trash fire and your controversy, and so you got to know your platforms too. And
you're old when you don't even mention TikTok, Jim.
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah, I mean, you're going to promote your comic on TikTok. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying just don't raise your expectation the same as you would if you're going to promote it out on on another platform. Right. And I think the going back to what Ryan said, some of these tools that we have are just amazing. I mean, and now with social media, I mean, I'm on a stream with with the guy who drew Batman. I'm like, who am I? I'm nobody. But the opportunities are there that me growing up, you had to stand on a line, a long convention line, to get to show your work to somebody who probably is not going to 90% of the time not going to hire you anyway. And so the opportunities to do things, not to mention the tools like Clip Studio, Blender, that are that are well priced at times, or free in some cases. So I think that the ability to do it's there. I think the tools are there. I think with independence, we have to just be careful that we're consistent, that we put out a complete project for our first project, maybe our first two, to show that we can, create this, that we can get it out there, and that we have the drive and we have the passion to do it. And I think, otherwise, I think you're going to find that it's going to be tough, especially now with the state of things with Marvel and DC. You're going to see those big creators like Sean Gordon Murphy, like Craig Capullo. Hey, they need work. They're going to start doing their own books too, I think. And you're going to be, hopefully you want to get in with that crowd that, that likes the Sean Gordon Murphy, that they're going to look at your independent work. But I think the opportunities are definitely there. I just think we need to, we just need to be vigilant about it.
Hey, Alton. I don't. So we've got Marius in the green room now. I want to make sure that you have a. I'm going to boot you. I'm going to kick you off. No, but
it's happened before. It'll happen again.
If you need to boot me at any time, feel free.
Nice meeting you guys. I'm one of the few guys who started in film and is now in comics, and probably will go back to film when I, either get funding enough to do this. I'm up to the 7th issue now. I'm trying to write 10 issues straight and be consistent, like you said, and deliver. So Phil Lockwood and Heather talked me into doing a Kickstarter, and we funded, and now I have to deliver the comic. Got to fulfill correctly, but I'm already getting ready for my next one. So,
all right,
awesome.
Thanks,
all right, we'll talk later. All right,
good luck in LA. I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
Talk to me offline.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hit me up.
All right. See you guys. Good luck.
All right. Well,
yeah. There's one.
Hey,
everywhere.
Well,
now it's just me.
All right. Yeah, and I just wanted to follow up on what Jim was talking about, consistency. I think that's an important thing that independents definitely have to challenge you to do, because I think that's what the big companies, the big studios, they become complacent. When something gets delayed, let's put in some filler comics. We'll get, we had Kevin Sharp last week, and it's sort of like when there was a guest. I mean, when there was like a lag in a superstar artist or a comic that wasn't going to deliver on time, they get their B team out there. And Kevin Sharp is as a talent all in himself too. He's an independent guy. He's doing his own comic. He's probably going to get the love that all of you guys deserve. And I think that's the thing too, is that I would have to say that you guys are putting out stories that are, I think if not better, on par with some of the stuff that's coming out of there. Because honestly, I read some of the stuff there, and it's like that seems completely out of character for something that a character that I followed for years, throughout the 80s and 90s into the 2000s, and it's almost like it's a gimmick. They have to throw out a gimmick to make something relevant, and I think with independent creators, there's no gimmick. It's all going to be, it's all or nothing. It's from your heart. It's from where your experiences, and that's what you bring to the table, and that's what's different, I think, from a lot of things. So I just wanted to follow up a little bit on that, and I wanted to welcome Marius. How you doing?
I'm good. Can you guys hear me properly?
Hello.
Yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah, we hear you.
Cool. Nice. Sometimes my headphone has issues, and it just bugs out sometimes completely. So I'm glad to be here. This is really cool. This is my first time on such a show.
Yeah, and your characters have been on the show previous. Your IP, your Borbank stuff as the artist. This is your work here, or is this just one of the characters that are?
That's definitely my work. So that's awesome. Jack, thank you. The main protagonist of our story. So if you, I know Justin, my writer, and he's actually the creator of the story, and he's been on the show. So if you look at him properly, you'll see a great resemblance to the character because it's mostly based on him.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So he's as badass as he is in the comics as he is in real life, from the stories he's told me and the proof that he's sent. So it's awesome.
I think he's Texas blood, right? He's just like
he
Texas
is.
Boy. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
I thought it was Jason Momoa.
I see a little Jason Momoa.
And then I saw Justin. And I go, oh, they just happen to be brothers. That's all it is.
You know what? I think it's perfect that we got you on the show. This was not planned at all. I think it's perfect timing talking about consistency. I think everybody on here with what their concept is, what their comic is, I think it's consistent in that style. Like Elysian Fields, beautiful work. It's just different than what you're going to see from Borbank. But that's okay. Like there's no house style in indie. It's just as long as it's consistently clean, then just keep knocking down doors. I think that's pretty amazing to see the differences. Actually, we haven't even pulled up Elysian Fields yet. You guys, we'll talk, and I'll work on getting some Elysian Fields stuff up.
Yeah, like I think that so long as the art remains consistent, crisp, and like is aesthetically pleasing, and the audience can look at it and appreciate it. Like simplicity isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think that there are a lot of comics that have simplistic artwork that are great, but like
style, right?
Yeah, like the main thing is that and this is something that I've I've even harped on like modern DC animation films for. You can't it doesn't matter how great a single drawing looks on a page if on the next page you sacrifice that quality, and that was something that like DC animation I feel has kind of let me down on personally with their recent films, because their fight scenes used to be super dynamic, right? You look at that Tim era universe, which by the way, the Tim era stuff super simple, not a lot of detail. But oh man, when you had like Darkseid fighting Superman, you felt every punch. Mm-hmm. You felt the intensity of Darkseid ripping through a building, and Superman like doing his awesome I live in a world of tissue paper speech. Like you felt that, and then you watch like modern DC animation, which has much is more hyper stylized and it has a lot more detail, but has like not even half of the dynamic. And so like what really matters is having consistent artwork, dynamic paneling, and making sure that like you have your page turn, the reader wants to turn the page. The reader is emotionally invested in in the story you're telling on the page. And so long as your art effectively accomplishes that, that's what's important. And I think that's what consistency needs to be in there. So like this is our cover for our next book.
Very nice.
Yeah, so this is not the book that just got financed, guys. So that hit their goals. That's actually still up. This is their next. This is your next work. So go ahead and
So this is the cover for our next storyline, which our next book is going to be a collection of essentially five story issues and a side story, and the title is called The Pyramid Gambit, and we're going to be having Team Hades, which is the main team of the book, going up against Team Osiris, and as you can see, we have these guys fighting some Anubites there.
See if I can make this work. I want to. Come on.
I like that Roman helmet over there.
All right.
And then this is a first look. So Von Randall just hit me up with this. Von Randall is the artist from Terra Olympus, and we're going to be doing a black and white cut of the Zero issue. And so he's going to be coming back doing a grayscale on this. And one of the cool things that I wanted to have in this is one of the big themes for Achilles in this storyline is, he's participating in this tournament so that he can get his greatest desire, which is for him, Patroclus, to be resurrected. And when you see him in his heaven, he's with Patroclus in this eternal memory where, like, it's back when they were training with the centaur Chiron, the trainer of heroes, and they're looking up at the sky at his constellation, and so you can see that in the reflection of the helmet.
Wow, some deep stuff there. I didn't even notice the reflection until you told me.
There's a.
See, this is
I
great.
can see it on mine. I don't. Yeah, we can see it.
This is great storytelling.
Was this digitally done? Because those are very crisp lines.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that all of Von Randall's stuff he does the pencils traditional.
Oh, he does.
And, like he does a fantastic job. If you guys have never taken a look at Terra Olympus, he's done a great job on that. And then this is from Marcelo. This is our first look at our character design of Heracles. These are the initial sketches. So he's kind of got that Craven the Hunter kind of style with the physique of the Juggernaut, and he's got that Nemean lion mask that he can throw over himself. Like one of the big things I really wanted to accomplish with this is setting out to try and be as authentic to these stories as possible. And you look at this guy, and if you've read any of the Greek mythology of Heracles, you look at him and you know exactly who it is.
Good stuff. This is great.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this down, and I'm going to bring up your page. Go ahead and tell us about your original book, your Zero.
So the Zero issue is exactly what it is. It's a prologue. It sets the stage for the rest of the series. And for our campaign, I wanted to do something special. This is my first comic book, and we really wanted this, as much as it to be a product, to be a thank you. And so I actually have this here with me. I have our sample cover, which I shared with you guys here prior. But every single version that is available for purchase right now on our physical tiers is going to have this beautiful cardstock foil cover.
Let's see it.
We glossed. And then we got this thing.
Oh, gorgeous!
Wow.
So nice.
All
right. I'm gonna break the rules here real quick and drop in your Indiegogo last campaign since it's still here. I'll drop it in the comments. Don't leave this show to go do that, but when you want to, it'll be there. That's totally breaking the rules, but that's fine. It's worth the risk, whatever. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share up your website now. My system's a little slow. My whole system got a little buggy, so good
it's
for me.
Not a big deal. And so,
all right, here we go.
The whole premise of the book is that it's a tournament style story where every god of death from world mythology is competing to be the next lord of the underworld. And Hades is trying to reclaim his throne as lord of the underworld, the current placeholder being Lucifer. And so he kind of breaks Achilles out of his heaven and brings him on his team to fight in this tournament against other heroes and champions from different mythologies. So you're going to be seeing people like Gilgamesh and Enkidu in the Zero issue, and then when we go to Egypt, you're going to be seeing all sorts of different Egyptian monsters, and you're going to see Imhotep, the guy that created the pyramids.
That's so cool.
And so it's like the God of War mixed with Mortal Kombat in a way.
Yeah, that's a good
God of War meets Mortal Kombat.
Like you have a tournament by Hades, aka Shao Kahn, and you have all these people killing each other.
Yeah, and so that's the whole thing, is that like they're all in a tournament where Team Hades is fighting to get their respective god the head seat, and Hades has stakes as well. One of the big underlying themes throughout the book, one of the big underlying story elements throughout the book, is that there are old pantheons that are dying, and the Hellenistic pantheon is on that chopping block. They don't have this is probably their last run at the tournament. Now Hades doesn't let the rest of the team know this because he's very prideful, and he doesn't want to come off as desperate, because then he loses a angle of control. But this is something that actively plays throughout the story. And I won't go too much into that because I want to give you guys a chance to read my books. And
just enough to tease us. Just tease us, so people will go buy it.
Good.
Yeah.
No, so this is in modern times, right?
So it's kind of ambiguous as to when it takes place. The start of the Zero issue is Achilles' last battle at Troy. Then he dies, and he's in his underworld, his heaven for a bit, and then he gets drawn out of it. And so you don't really know what time period it is, but it is a time where the influence of the Hellenistic gods has certainly receded. So that's one of the big things, is I didn't really want to set it takes place in the present day kind of precedent, because then people are going to want to see, are going to expect certain things from the book that I don't want them to expect.
Like cars and
this isn't going to turn into like a Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yeah, they want Achilles with like a gun or something like that.
Fast and Furious Chariot.
Well, just as a reminder to the audience that talking about finishing books and things that are done, being consistent, this is financed already. So it's in the what is it called, like overtime phase, where you can still.
It's in demand, which is essentially a great perk that Indiegogo has, and is honestly the big reason why. One of the big reasons why I went with them is if you hit that in demand perk, you can keep your campaign open as an online storefront. And so what I am planning on doing with this, because I do have a bit of a plan here, is that these covers and everything that we're doing for the initial backers are special. And once I run out of them, I'm letting the campaign kind of run its course for the next week, let people get a chance to buy in and what have you, and then I'm going to give a number to my printer that'll cover the books that we need and give us excess. But once we sell out of that excess, this cover is gone. And so what we'll be moving on to is we'll be having a floppy, which will Jim O'Reilly did a pinup for us, and he gave us the blessing to use that pinup as our floppy cover, and it's fantastic. That's actually on the Indiegogo campaign. If we want to pull that up. And then we will also be releasing a black and white cut of the book that'll have that Von Randall piece that I shared with you guys. And that's going to be what is for sale throughout the summer until we plan on launching that next campaign in September timeframe, like latest October. It just depends on where we are with art. As I said, one of the biggest mistakes that I made on this campaign is I don't feel like I had enough to show right off the bat, and I didn't do enough marketing leading up to it. So depending on where we are creatively and how much we have done of the project by that point and what kind of feedback we have from the Zero issue will depend on when we launch that next campaign.
How many pages is this first issue or Zero issue?
So the main story for the Zero issue is 24 pages. However, you also get in the edition that is on up on the campaign right now, you get a 6-page art gallery that is all of Marcelo's character art that he did for the book. You also get that. You also get that cover that was put up there as a tease for the next book, yeah. So it rounds out at around 34 pages once you include the credits and everything. So it's a very good value. You're getting that awesome cover. As I said, the pages are going to be glossed. Yeah, we're really excited to just get these books out to you guys, and we're not quite done with the book just yet. We're all like Marcelo's finishing up the last pages, and Luke's well over halfway inked, and I've been proofing his stuff as it comes out, and everything looks great. And so like the everything should be fulfilled by July, you know, we might even be able to get books out sooner than that. It just all depends on how this next process of getting the book out goes. So, like, I'm hoping, if everything goes smoothly, I'm hoping that we'll have the PDFs and everything ready within the week.
Wow. Well, I wish you the best.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to pull up a little bit of this apocalypse action, but I'd like to see what Jim is working on now. Do you have, what are you working on now, Jim?
Oh, well, right now I just have up my the Mojo story, just to cover up. I was working on some 3D modeling. I'm creating up a 3D model of a home. So I'm learning 3D modeling as I'm
This is the perfect example of multitasking of an independent creator. He's doing 3D modeling, the 3D modeling of Mojo Rising, or is it just
something? Yes, it's a house being used in the story. With Clip Studio, I just find backgrounds. I hate drawing backgrounds. I mean, if I want to lay down grid work and do perspective grids, go for it if you want to take the time. I mean, even Clip Studio has, you know,
the tools 3D, are there.
Yeah, the grids are there.
Well, yeah, they got the.
But what I'm doing is I'm kind of like multitasking for the project further on, because with Blender you can also sculpt. So I want to do have a little sculpture, that 3D printed sculpture that I can do as a tier of the main character. So I'm trying to plan it out, not just the comic, but have some other things that some tiers that I can add in.
Just for the record, for anyone who's watching, 3D modeling is incredibly difficult. I went to school for it for years.
Not with Blender.
Blender is a little better. I learned on 3D Studio Max. So
I think
the interface is very easy to learn as compared to something like ZBrush. Because ZBrush is fantastic for sculpting, but it's a headache to learn through the interface. I tried that for 2 years, and then I just gave up.
Yeah, I'm gonna show my
even after hours of tutorials.
I did a 3D Studio Max. I don't know if you guys even remember that.
3ds Max is still the same.
Wow,
that was a long time ago. But
will you create each pixel? It's not
every little frame, every little square. It turned me off. I haven't touched 3D software since then because it was such a bad thing. But
my first computer was a Texas Instruments, so I think I have you beat.
No.
Doing hours of code to do a little asterisk to move it around the screen. You know,
I had a Radio Shack TSR 80. I got you beat. Had a cassette.
Oh,
drive.
You do.
Who even knows what cassette drive or what a cassette is?
Well, the cassette drive. Oh my God.
Daryl is a hidden old guy. You think he's a young cat, but he's older. So
I'm old. I go to the Lazarus Pit. You guys know what that represents. I do myself every couple weeks. But
we were green pool is back.
But
my kids cry when the Wi-Fi goes out. I'm like, yeah, okay. You know what kind of a miracle you guys have? I'm working with cassettes when I was a kid. Give me a break. Wi-Fi goes out.
Joe was talking. We were going to talk about consistency in a book that's already out there. Let's Joe, can you pull up Apocalypse by Ryan?
I got it up right now. Let me
share the screen again. Now, for the record, I didn't draw a single image of the book.
No, but it's your story.
Of course. That's still your baby, you know.
I have still worked really hard. I didn't draw a single thing in the Elysian Field. That's still proud as hell of it.
And you should be. The whole premise behind it is just intriguing too.
That's some gorgeous work.
And I think
Let me
that,
see here if I can get it up.
Here's
better.
the thing. This will be good. This is a perfect.
I like the colors of this.
I don't know how many people know this, but on the back of the book, there are 2 QR codes, right?
Oh, give me a second there.
Yeah.
I'm going to solo you out.
there you go.
Right. So there's those 2 QR codes. Like you can scan both of them.
Okay.
And I made 2 short films for 2 of the characters in the book, but they're prequel stories. So they happen before the rapture, or before they get to this farmhouse, before the actions of the book take place.
Mm-hmm.
See 2 prequel stories of 2 of the characters with like the real actors, like the real people, you know what I mean? Like playing with them. And that's the whole bridge that like I see like crossing, you know, I plan to put every one of my films into a graphic novel, you know, 2 years before it comes out or whatever. It's just such a no-brainer idea and process. And the fact that you can get, like, I didn't draw any of this. My guy just came up and was like, I know this artist out of the Philippines and blah, blah, blah. And
woohoo! Philippines.
yeah. Was it you? No.
Yeah, we have a lot of artists.
I mean, we were
There
talking
are a
about
lot of
Rhino,
very talented
artists,
Philippine artists, like amazing work that comes out of the Philippines. Just amazing.
Yeah. That's great.
Actually, that's a topic I'd like to discuss next time.
Oh yeah, we're actually gonna have Marius in for another time. I've been talking with Joe, and we're gonna have you as a guest, and you know, and we can actually revisit it. But I just really wanted to talk to Ryan about, you know, his approach to you know, like when he wrote this. I think that's I think there's a storytelling mechanism that's in I think some more modern comics. I think there's comics sort of like they've evolved in a certain way, or they have a different storytelling where you can actually do storyboard style or a very cinematic approach to like your panels, you know, kind of like I think that Brian Hitch, when he did the Ultimates, I think that was to me, that was I'm showing my age, maybe that's not too old, but at least it showed when I looked at it, not only did he do certain actor references like to the characters for the Ultimates, but he did not really complex panels. They were like panoramics, which were like the 16:9 like movie aspect ratio type thing that you would do from a cinematic point of view. And I'm thinking that with Ryan, it's like, you know, you wrote this screenplay, you know, for your graphic novel. When you gave that to the artist, did you like give them direction and say, hey, think of this from a cinematic perspective, build your panels that way, or did you?
No.
Did you ever think about that, or is that something that you thought about?
So as a collaborator, as much as I like just feed off of control, it's more control over my own life. And like, so I do extreme things to like have control in my life. But when it comes to collaborating, like I'm making a film now, we're shooting right in September, and I have a costume designer that I've only met, that I haven't even met video chat, only on the phone.
Okay.
And I was like, here's what I want, like, go for it. The same aspect on this, the only thing I gave him were pictures of the actors that I wanted to play the characters.
So it's more about, you're all about a collaborative process where you are like surrounding, like in your perspective, I don't know, maybe it's, I'm going to use the George Lucas reference. George Lucas has like controlling interest over when he was head of the whole Star Wars franchise before he sold it.
Brother, my ex-wife is related to Richard I forget his last name. Edlund. Richard Edlund did all the special effects for all the Star Wars movies.
Oh, really?
He actually, that was his idea to do this.
Okay. You have like influence. What I'm just basically saying is that your approach is that you wrote this. This is still your baby. You wrote it. You have kind of an idea, but you're surrounding yourself with an artist, with a costume designer. Your real passion, I guess, is the movie part of it. But what you're doing is you're surrounding yourself with great talent. And even though you're the Overwatch, you're the guy who oversees everything, but you're allowing other independents, other people to come in here to help you create your vision, but you're giving them creative freedom to interpret your baby. You know, maybe is that what I'm kind of,
I hate the term baby. I hate the term like that. No, it's just I have a whole history with that.
Oh,
but like, it's there's just first of all, who am I to judge on what's good or not? I'm just one person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so just because whatever vision I have in my head for it doesn't mean that it's the best version of that vision. So, and I know for a fact how much like amazing potential and artistry and energy is within inside every single human being on the planet, let alone an artist who's already been working at their craft. So I just kind of go with that. I think a quality I have is I allow people to perform their best selves, you know? And so, I think from that, that's, I don't know, that's just my method of how I approach things, you know?
And I think that's good, because when you surround yourself with good talent and there's a lot of great independent talent out there, that, you know, it's only going to make your product, your book, your passion. I'm not going to use the word baby.
Yeah, I retract that earlier.
Like, I have like 12 projects in like active development. I'm producing 2 films right now. I have an app launching in August. I'm like, my baby is just like the drive.
Passion.
Yeah, the passion, you know what I mean? So like, they're all just like, they could all fail, and I'd be like, all right, well, nobody liked them. Okay, moving on.
You just have lots of kids. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's out there, and you're juggling a lot of things, and I think that's part of it too, is that realizing your strength, you know, your vision, and allowing you to do your other vision, you know, your other projects, so that way they can all keep on going. They can all still be moving forward while you're doing, you know.
My industry has this is something I wanted to address, and I don't know what it is in the comic book world, but I have the unfortunate dealings with the term of celebrity, and that is rooted in my industry, unfortunately. And regardless of what anybody in my industry tells you to your face, they all secretly desire that celebrity, those statues, the fame, the attention, all of that. And that is something I am trying to break from culture, is people's, and I understand it's been shoved in your face since Hollywood it was incepted, you know, and even before then with stories and telling stuff like that. But it is so important for people to realize that, like, you are the celebrity, like, you are the, you know what I mean? Like, it's all within you. And it's just like, and when you crack that code, when you're able to tap into that, like, the entire world opens up for you. And like, the more people in the independents, the more neurons that we can connect, because I have them in my industry. I have ninjas, man, like, available, ready to pounce. You know what I mean? If there's a platform, once opportunities start to come in. And so it's just people like me, I think, that are going to punch holes in the dam, you know, for them. But the thing that people got to be aware with is that there's going to be a lot of water coming in, and people need to have their rafts ready to go.
So that was actually what I was about ready to. You said it perfectly for me to kind of jump in and say this, is that, you know, I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, how do we climb the mountain? How do we climb the mountain? How do we break the paradigm that people have already sort of figured out?
Leave it to like me.
But it really, so right, but you got to be ready. So I think that's the thing is you're not going to break it by climbing it or breaking down any walls. What it really is we all have to be ready, because the way I see it, this is the way I see sort of the mountain happening, is they're crumbling themselves. So they're shooting themselves in the foot, and the audience is going to shift. The audience is obviously shifting already. We can already see it. So we have to just be ready as independents to have something that's ready to
I see that, Jim, but like, you see the numbers on like the Travis concert? Did you see where Christopher Nolan launched his movie trailer for that film on a virtual video game platform?
Yeah.
I know.
And the world
get outside.
that's happening. That's, you know.
And
the Snyder Cut was released during a live stream on like social media.
You have to rely on the normal means of things, and, you know, like Nolan, even though he has a name for himself already, I mean, he's like saying, like, I think studios were saying, no, we're not going to release your movie, and he's like saying, no, I want to release the movie. He's and I think that gives hope for a lot of independents to like say, you know what, we don't need to conform. You use the word anarchist, but I'm thinking it's more about conformity. It's like, or lack of conforming. Independents will set the new standard for how things will be launched, whether they be crowdfunding. And I think that's a follow-up that I wanted to say, is that I think often with movies, with comics, with at least mainstream comics, is that it's almost like the going factor is the direction is determined by committee, not by, I think somebody mentioned fans. I think that's where things are kind of falling apart, is that they're ignoring the fans. They're ignoring what made something really resonate has been thrown out the window because it's been focus grouped and an executive committee thinks they know better. And I think that's where we see a lot of failings, whether it's comics or movies, because they don't appeal to the market. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing right now, is that there's a hunger for the return of something that resonates with a fan. And I think you guys are putting out stuff that allows us to do that.
I'd like to add to that, if I may.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Marius.
I think that you mentioned something about fans, right? That a lot of these fans have a lot of passion for the stories that everybody tells, whether it be from Hollywood, Marvel, DC, or the independents. I think what's important is that the stories should let themselves be told as stories, and I think that's what a lot of am I making sense? Like, because a lot of writers nowadays have I don't want to get too political here, but they have an agenda, they have an idea rather than a story. So when they put that in, a lot of the stories get twisted in such a way that they don't really follow a certain archetype. They don't really come to follow a certain pattern that we as people over millennia have learned to adopt, even though we haven't really memorized it. Like these ideals, these points that the moment it reaches a climactic part of the story, it suddenly breaks line just to send a message which shouldn't have been there at all. I think that's the great flaw of the industry nowadays. And I think that after reading a lot of independents, because the local scene here in the Philippines has a lot of independent comics. Some of them may not be as original, but they hold the value of prioritizing story. And I think that's very important. And I think all of us independents should, one, have a story to tell, two, have a standard to uphold, not just for the fans, but for ourselves, because I think we can't create stories if we don't have a standard to hold on to. You mentioned something earlier about, what do you call it, commitment and consistency. I think standard would help us into furthering that along the way for all of us independents, if we want to topple down the Hollywood regime.
The Hollywood Tower of Babel.
It's just like, if like exactly where you're going, like imagine if the entire community was like this and we all held each other accountable. Like I just launched my film media company January 1st this year. Like officially I'm finally like all in, like ready to go, right? My timing actually is perfect. Okay. I'm excelling. But if I want it to, I throw back to the days of like Coppola and Lucas, of like Zoetrope in the 60s, and that like how the speech in Jaws that Quint gives got passed around through 20 different people's hands. You know, Coppola took a pass, like Walter Hill took a pass. You know, everybody looked at that and nobody gave a flying F about credit or anything. They just wanted to drive the story to build each other up.
Yes.
I mean?
Yes.
And then capitalism and whatever and secret societies and all the mess took control and hold over that. But like,
go Illuminati.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly
it's real, dude. It's here and it's real. But like, but like now we have this, and now if I just like, if you aren't performing to the level of like what I think, to the standard of storytelling that I think you should be, I don't see why it's not okay for me to like point that out and hold each other accountable. The problem I'm seeing in my industry is that when I'm doing that to independents and young up-and-comers, I am met with so much backlash, so much hate, so much like excuse making. And I'm like, you're overexposed. what do you want me to tell you? Your shot's overexposed. I don't care what you told it. And like, if your story was driving, your story was compelling, but it's a 3-minute short about some stalker outside who's trying to break in, you know, and she wakes up in a nightmare. I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know what she does for a living. I don't know why the stalker's there. I don't know why she has this home. I don't know why she has a cell phone. I don't know why all these things. And they say, well, it's just a short. And I'm like, incorrect.
You're telling a story.
Like
It's a story with less time.
Ernest Hemingway wrote one of the greatest short stories ever using 6 words. Okay.
Yep.
Like, it can be done, people. It can be done. But the effort and the accountability from the community.
What was that? What was that short? The Paper Airplane? Is that what it was called? Remember that animation short?
Are you talking about the one that Pixar did? The one
I mean, Pixar's a beast. Like
Yeah.
I think it's. I remember I watched. Not to go off the freaking rails here a little bit too much, but what was the robot one? What was that one called?
I know what you're talking
Wall-E,
about.
right? So Wall-E. Like, I watched the first 5 minutes of the film, had no dialogue whatsoever.
First 5, try the first 40.
Yeah, but I mean,
there's no real dialogue until they leave the planet.
Right, no, that's true. But I mean, there was communication sounds. But I see your point. Yeah, so like I was just talking about the initial
bringing that
point,
into the artist perspective. Some of the what I feel are the really great artists are the ones that are able to tell the story with very little dialogue or no dialogue.
Right.
I'm not a big anime or manga person, but I picked up this manga called Blam in Japan. It's called Blame here in the States. And that artist told that story, and it's a thick volume, like halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way through the book, no dialogue. Complete storytelling, and you could follow along, and you were interested in what was happening to the character. To me, I think that's great, and I think it harks back to what we were talking about earlier, were those basic archetypes for storytelling and for art. Like, for me, I look at my thumbnails, I'm like, oh, all my energy is in my thumbnail. And when I get down to that final picture, I'm like, oh, this is horrible. This doesn't even represent what I had before. Like, what's wrong with this? And I think there's a line where you have to stop and you have to leave some imagination for the viewer or for the reader to put their imagination into the story or into the picture themselves. I said, because if you don't allow for that and you define it too much, I think it kills it. I think it really kills it.
Right. But that's exactly that's why I wanted to bring this up, because it was what Marius brought up earlier in the conversation, which is, and not wanting to get too political like he's saying, but it's every story, and I don't think you went far enough where I would add my 2 cents on this, Marius, is that yes, people say they want good stories, let's not get preached to or whatever, and let's not hit us over the head. But you said make good stories. I think you have to add to that you know, when you tell a story, you should have a voice and you should be communicating something else as well. I think that makes for a more serious read. It makes for something that has more weight behind it. The difference is that you can tell a story and allow your reader to come up with his own conclusions. You don't have to write a dictionary of information on every single panel that's basically telling people exactly how they're supposed to process this information and how they're supposed to leave. So I think, for me personally, I'm all about people having a voice in their stuff, having a political message if they want to, but allow your readers to come up with their own, you know, conclusion on how they process that information. It's not, you know.
Definitely agree on that.
To chime in on this, because I think this is a fantastic thing to talk about. So it has become an unfortunate trend with the industry, the creative industry as a whole, where constructive criticism is taken as a full-blown attack rather than what it is. Like
your attack, you know, like you're
like
oh man.
Like the amount of people who have gotten angry at me for pointing out just like basic flaws and stuff that they've done, and like you know, that like but we've created this whole dynamic where you're either with someone or you're against someone. You can't really be in a point where you're just trying to evaluate something based off of its objective merit, you know, because if you do that, you're apparently not a fan. And so when it comes down to politics and what have you, art is a form of expression, you know, At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's how we as creators express ourselves. And so when politics and things like that find their way into that, that's fine, so long as it's done in an organic way and the politics is represented between conflict of the characters. But the moment that a story stops itself and starts lecturing to its reader what the point of it is, you're no longer telling a story. You've broken that suspensive disbelief and you're creating a soapbox for yourself. And that's not art, that's propaganda.
And I think that's the reason why it's important to say independent artists can still make and have a voice. It's not like we're saying, oh, just make a superhero character with green pants.
Yeah.
You know, we're still doing it. Dude. It's just we're leaving it open, like, you know, freaking the Watchmen, X-Men, and the list goes on. When it was done right,
Alan Moore set like his entire career over incredibly politically charged works. The Watchmen, V for Vendetta glorifies a terrorist.
Yeah, and the Wachowskis had to reduce that to something about freedom.
But the reason why those books are great is because it allows you as the reader to see these conflicts of characters and create your own opinion and absorb that message organically. There is no point in V for Vendetta where you get like, and everyone's seen this panel, and they do it usually with characters like Captain America or Superman, where you get this extra close up and they essentially do the freaking Uncle Sam point, and they go on like a 6-bubble monologue about why what their thing is right. You don't see that once from V. Every single time V puts out a point of view of his, it's in a conversation. It's in a conversation with another character.
And like, I agree completely.
Notice it out. Notice is you're all on notice, independent creators. That's the standard.
Well, I mean, to follow up on the statement that was made earlier, it's like, and I think Mike talked about it, Marius talked about it. It's when agenda takes precedent over story. It's like when you get to the point where you're it's good to know what your character's motivation is, but it should never be that particular agenda is their defining characteristic. You know, it's
the check block character. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, like V for Vendetta, Watchmen. So no one's going to say that he went into Watchmen and didn't have some sort of statement to say.
Not
but
at all.
It's an incredible, like, not to say everyone has to write like the Watchmen.
That would be very ignorant to say that. Yeah.
You know,
to say that Alan Moore went into writing Watchmen or V for Vendetta without a statement, that's you're a baby. Dude, you don't know what you're saying.
The dude actively walks around with an anarchy T-shirt, like every single place that he goes. Like I don't think I've seen a single picture of Alan Moore at a convention without some sort of like anarchy or punk paraphernalia on him. Right. He is as anti-establishment as it gets. So like, like of course.
But like, even with his message that he believes in his blood, he still left it open for readers to create their own understanding of what that message is. Like it came through the characters.
Yeah, I think that's what separates the writer from the story. It's the exact pages. That's what we're here for. That's what, if we get a story published, the people can come to us and ask us, what did you mean, right? But then in the first place, they can still interpret it the way they want to. And then if they come to you and there's this agreement, then wow, congratulations, you did your job. They agreed with you. But if they don't, you should still be happy about that. That should not be the priority. You should be okay.
Or you could also learn from that.
Yeah, exactly. You could learn from that and write something better, right? Write something that would win awards.
It's perspective. I got mind blown. But I wanted to like follow up on something that Jim said, and he was talking about anime, manga, and if you look back in the 80s, it's like no one had respect for it. They thought it was just like the Western audience thought that was just that's another cartoon on a TV. It's a comic. It's it was like not the popular type of comic book or the gritty comic book that we sort of see like now. But when he made the statement, he said that heck had little dialogue. Let's even remove all dialogue, or even had the Japanese dialogue in there. You could flip through it. Their storytelling, the majority of the storytelling, at least the ones that I follow, it's so the panel construction and seeing how it lays out a thing. You could not understand a lick of Japanese, and you would still be able to know what's going on. And you talk about the energy and the power of your original thumbnail. Now sometimes that gets kind of lost when you actually go to inks, final page. They've got it down to an art where you still maintain that level of energy, level of storytelling that and I think that's also what I'm seeing with some independents is that they're able to like adapt a style that obviously works, make it their own, and kind of bring it into the independent world where they don't have to answer to an editor in chief that's going to come down on them and say, you know what, you're doing an Eastern style. That's not something that you should do.
But
it's more.
I think that's a mistake.
And I think there are some in some mainstream that have done that, like Mike Mignola. You look at Hellboy, and you could criticize the artwork all day and the simplicity of the artwork, but he's able to tell his story through his art, and you're able to catch the feeling through his art. And I think that's the important, like Will Eisner, that's the important aspect. And I think that's lost a lot in the culture now, in what you're seeing being produced, is that it's so defined that it leaves no room for your imagination. It traps you almost. Some stories will just trap you, and it's just like so rigid. I don't know. I can't speak for the film aspect. Ryan, you'd probably speak more to that.
This is just a fascinating conversation for me to hear, because the whole time I'm watching you guys like interact and talk, like you all like I'm for sure like on a bit of an outside, but still connected. In the DNA, we're all storytellers and creators, and stuff like that. And I just keep going back to and comparing it to my industry, and this is just my personal opinion, but I have done a lot of talking and I'm very active on Reddit, have been for over a year. I'm on several Facebook forums and everything. I'm just constantly engaging, trying to learn, teach, YouTube, everything. And I just see, maybe you guys can help me out with this. What I see in my industry is I see such idealization of what they think, the reality of being a filmmaker. They have their definitions wrong and askewed, and just aren't just doing it. They aren't just making their films. They're too busy debating or questioning or asking why or how or comparing to others or what others are doing. And nobody is just doing it and not listening to anybody else and just doing stuff. So I don't know what it's like in your guys' community, but it's very similar. Hell out of me, like locked into more like symmetry going on. And I'm like,
yeah. So
with a new
an easy response to that, Ryan, and maybe I should just shut up and let you guys talk, but this is coming to mind already, so I'm just going to run my mouth, I guess.
Yeah.
An easy response to that is what we were talking about earlier, which is like you got to finish stuff even though it's not perfect, and then you got to move and shift and be open for critique, and then you got to shift and make another piece. So you're not going to go out and make your epic tale first time out of the gate. You make a story, you do something simple, blood, bow, and axe, and
okay, I message received.
I think you make a good point though. I think that's what Jake Parker and guys like Jake Parker and Jason Brubaker, these are successful guys that maybe the mainstream doesn't hear about or hear too much about, but Jake Parker, one of his things is finished but not perfect, and that's great. And I've seen people twist that and go, well, you can't, it's got to be really, it's got to be good or people won't buy. No, you're missing the point. The point is that you can. And I think this speaks to you, Ryan. You're seeing people get so locked up in the details of the process instead of just doing the process. Just go, just do, just create. And the detail stuff, you'll tweak, you'll manipulate. My thought on that is that you do have to eventually stop, and you do have to eventually say, okay, this is the finished work. Here you go.
Yeah.
And I think that. But I think, you do see that even in the artist community. People are so into, and myself included. Like, I've been trying to to get away from the detailed work and try to, and it would seem like this would be simple, that, you know, doing just like the basic art, the basic forms and keeping to that, you think that that would be a simple thing to do. But when you have years of wanting the details, it's actually very hard to do. But yeah, to your point, I think people get caught up in those details of the process rather than just enjoying the process and actually doing the process.
Mike, you wanted to say something? I know that you had something on
sorry,
your tongue.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
You guys are all good. I'm loving this, and I kind of zoned out there for a second. I had some stuff going on in the background with the misses, so I was just checking, make sure everything was all right. And I was listening to everything, but like I did want to backtrack because you had mentioned something about the Eastern style of storytelling that we see in manga and everything. Yeah. I honestly think that every single Western comic book artist right now that is active, especially in the big two, needs to be taking a look at manga. They need to be studying it because, oh my God, like we are that. I feel like there was a time where we were on par, but like at this point, it's not even close. Like, you know, I got into Kentaro Miura's Berserk.
Oh my God, Kentaro Miura.
Oh, the Berserk is the best.
Yes,
like, I love
Lord,
I've never been more in love with anything in my life. And let me tell you, you could take out all of the dialogue from like the ad, and you will hit every single bit of raw emotion that is there because you like Miura is a master at his craft, and oh boy. Yeah, I got them too. I got 3. I got the first 3 right here.
You have the first 3. I'm still waiting for the 2 and 3 to pop up here.
Yeah, I actually my buddy's reading the first 1 right now, but I've got 2 and 3 here, and I'm going to be getting 4, and I think 5th comes out around the time of my birthday. You know that it's coming to an end too. They just said it. They just said
fans, he's expecting that on his birthday. Just I think that was a plug. Yeah, I think he was trying to get buy him a birthday present. But you're not that famous yet, Michael. Just to let you know.
No, but I saw it and I like geeked out. Like that's my whole thing. Like these guys have done such a good job, and even with superhero stuff, you have My Hero Academia, which just started within the past few years, and that's anime meets superheroes, and like the way that they handled All Might versus All for One. It's like, I swear that guy read Death of Superman when he was a kid and said, one day I'm going to do this, but I'm going to make it better.
Yeah.
And he did.
Well, that's the thing about, I'm showing my love for Japanese media or comics and how it's influencing Western style. But the way that you look at that, and a lot of the stuff that you see in Japan too, it's independent too. You got a ton of artists that are out there that are pitching their stuff at local cons. I mean, I think a lot of the famous artists that we know and love, they were the independents that got into these weekly publications because it's a shark market out there in terms of getting your manga, your anime, your IP out there, and to struggle to get the top. I mean, these are guys. I mean, one of my favorite things was a manga about creating manga, Bakuman. I don't know.
Bakugan.
I know. And there's the guy who also did Death Note, and I'm just telling you that this is what was so good, and I think that the independent market is grasping on it, is that there's a story to tell that just doesn't have to be about superheroes. The Japanese market, there's like stories about anything you could think about. Yeah, there you go. All you need is kill. That was the Tom Cruise.
This was also by the Death Note guy.
Oh, he did that too.
Yes.
Yeah, like look at the art.
I mean, look at this stuff. And this is the one that the Tom Cruise movie was.
Let that repeat.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I gotta take off, but I just wanted to comment one last thing. It's super fascinating to hear you guys like all shake your heads yes to that. I get so much hate when I suggest this, like on Reddit and tell people this and stuff like that. And that is, I now outline and structure is my number one. And we're talking about dialogue. So I write screenplays, okay? And I write them using Final Draft. I do not open Final Draft for a month. and then I have it open for maybe 3 or 4 days, and that's how long it takes me to actually write the screenplay. And I write 0 dialogue before I open final draft. I write the entire thing from start to finish, over and over, detail, break it down, and use 0 dialogue. And I tell every aspiring screenwriter to do the same thing. And they say, that's ridiculous. How do you do that? It's impossible. And I'm like, here's my 50-page treatment of my 150-page screenplay that's broken down from that's adapted from a 450-page book. Here's the process of how I did it here. This is what you do. Like, this is it, and I always come back to the prime example for my industry, visual medium, is for ABC storytelling are Looney Tunes, Mickey Mouse, like old school cartoons. They are 0 dialogue, and my son, who is glued to YouTube, will sit and watch those because they're entertaining, because they're giving you bits of information every 5 to 10 seconds that are moving the story or revealing something about the character. It's so binary to me. It's so 1-0. It's just a matter of I just need to put all that time and effort into that work and structuring the story. And then the dialogue, to me, thrown on top is that's where you get to have fun and you get to explore.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned, fun.
Clarity.
You need to have fun in what you're doing, because if it becomes a chore, and if it's why are you even doing it type things. And that's why I think that got that from all of us, and then all of you and Ryan. It's like even though you have to drop out, we're gonna definitely plug your graphic novel at the end of the show, so that I want people to I want people to see where these characters after the rapture,
there's 2 short films about it. They're on they're on my YouTube channel, both those short films. My film that I made 10 years ago, the full length film, is also on there. I have tons of videos. There's tons of content on there. I put out a vlog every week.
I caught up on it. It's on Medium, right? Your vlog?
No, it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
I'm actually on every platform. Literally, you type in RynoRyder anywhere, and I'll pop up.
That's also another thing. His studio is RynoRyder, and we'll make sure that we put that in there so that people can check it out.
But check it out all along. I'm shooting this film in September. I'm pulling back the curtain. My passion is to show everything, show the entire process of it, not the look at us, my film, look at how fun it is. Like, here's the fucking grunt. Sorry, here's the grunt. Here's the boots in the ground. Here's what it takes. Show it all. Show the whole process. And talking about having a message. And dude, my next film is me screaming as an American who has fallen back in love with his own country through the most tumultuous of its time.
Yeah.
My next film takes place during the Second Civil War. I mean, it's an action film, like a throwback to late 80s, early 90s, the Running Man, Total Recall, kind of satirical, But it definitely says a message, but it's such a perfectly crafted story that's the thing that you get it from. Just like you're talking about, like the information is exchanged between characters, and that's what tells the message overall, and still leaves it up to the audience to debate which side you want to pick.
We're gonna look for it.
That's amazing.
Ryan,
and if you have any links
thank you so much.
Hey Ryan, before you pop out, if you have any links that you want to specifically make sure get highlighted, throw them in the comment section so people know where to go, and then we'll try to pitch them as well. And so if we see your links too, we'll make sure to hit that. But thanks for being on the show. It was awesome.
I could contact you I'd like to pick your brain at some point in time, just about film and stuff like that.
I'd appreciate it.
Completely
open, you guys. Please, here. This is just my YouTube. That's my. I'm trying to build that up. So if you guys want to sub to that, that would be amazing. And then Instagram, wherever, find me wherever. So
awesome. Good stuff, Ryan. Thanks so much.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you
very much.
Thanks for being here.
I'll be following you, man.
We'll follow you. All right.
All right. Good. Okay. So now there are 5. What are we looking at on time? Because my computer's so much garbage. I don't even have the right time on here. 1
hour 48 minutes is one of our longer shows. But
we've gone past 1:30. Oh my gosh.
I'm having such a good time talking to all of you, hearing all these great perspectives. It's to me, it's enlightening. And Marius, you brought a lot to the table too. I just want to hear. I could probably talk to you guys for hours, but I'm going to leave it up to Joe. how you want to handle this.
Yeah,
one.
I mean, we could go for a little while longer, but we should probably start winding down. Give you guys a chance to plug any of your stuff.
Exactly.
Marius, thanks for being on. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You've been on sort of the peripheral for so long. Just haven't been able to get you on any of the shows yet. So it's been great to get you on and chat with you.
I thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate this.
It's been fantastic. I just keep watching you making comments. I'm like, oh man, it's Marius. We got to get him on. so one of our
I'd be happy to go back again.
So obviously we're an indie media company as well, just like you guys. You guys understand the challenges of putting the time in, and so it would be great to have 4 more shows a week. You know what I mean? It would be great. Right now we're looking at about 3 shows. So tomorrow we have a show on Sunday that is with Gerald and Jason, which is basically a draw-off show. It's called Let It Out. I know they don't want to call it a competition, but entertainment-wise, it's kind of fun to see who draws the best pieces. So we've got that one, and then we have a drink and draw with Faye on Fridays. And obviously, like my thing that I want to do as we go forward is to have a show that's specifically about indie creators and just chat about their IPs, because your guys' IPs right now, Warbane, freaking on Elysium Fields. I mean, you guys have stuff. I mean, Mojo Rising soon. You guys have stuff that's really great, and it's just not. It's resonating with your fans, but it's kind of the thing that we saw like artists. So Marius probably knows about this. The fan art challenge thing where everyone's drawing these things. It's like, why isn't there an indie fan art challenge? Like, why aren't we drawing each other's characters? I think that's what we really are missing here.
Let It Out does that.
So Let It Out. So good pitch, good point. Let It Out. If you're out there, we draw or our guys draw those indie characters. So that's part of it.
Right, and it's kind of we're trying to work out the perfect balance between interview and draw, doing drawing. And unfortunately, sometimes you can't get as detailed into it because we want to have at least 2 of the OCs of our guest and maybe 2 mainstream just to balance it out. So, but we're trying to work on that formula because we want to produce something and get into the creative space of our guests. So we have a great guest that's going to be in there tomorrow. I'll plug that a little later. But today's show is about you guys, and I really want. We Comics Cast is all about just promoting independent creators, and all of you guys represent the best of that, and we want you guys to have a voice, because when independent becomes, I don't even know if the word is
mainstream,
because that has like negative connotation. I mean, I don't even
where the side it becomes the side stream.
It's independent in the
how about the market?
So there we go. It's just that it means that you have the same reach as bigger studios. You have the same platform that you can tell your stories, and there are people that you have the same audience that can appreciate the breadth of your work and know where you're coming from. That's what I think. When independent is not the exact definition of independent. Independent means you're not small. It doesn't have that connotation anymore. It has independent meaning that you're not a part of the larger picture. You have your own set of rules that you play by, and you have
disconnected from the corporate strings.
You're not chained to Excel file sheets.
You guys. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like talking and reading comments at the same time. No, but it has been fantastic. And Jim, you have some of your stuff up now. I'm going to bring up your side now that we have an extra screen here. To show what you've been working on here.
This is just
wow.
Well, these are just that's a chapter page. These are thumbnails. Yep.
Look at
this. That is awesome.
In the thumbnails, I don't know what the word bubbles are saying, but I can already get.
Makes no sense to anybody but me when you look at my thumbnails, which is completely fine.
I get it.
And then I started working on this page.
I love that page. Yeah. Can you zoom in on that one?
I'll open it up. Yeah, let me open it up.
Okay.
I think I have that page. God, I keep seeing that. You've got a close-up of him in a couple of your images. Your layouts. So your layouts have been digital from day one, or do you do sort of a rough on pencil and then scan it in?
Sometimes it's a combination. Like this page here is a combination. I'll go off on my my traditional board and I'll pencil out something, scan it in, tighten it up.
And I love
but let me take off some of. So that's like the inked. And I can take off this. That layer.
That's fantastic detail.
I know.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Soaking this stuff up. This looks great.
Yeah,
Are
this
those
is like
blank
this
spaces?
is the thumbnail.
Oh, okay. I thought they were empty.
Which I feel like the thumbnail is so much better. Unless you're gonna do a book of thumbnails. Let's see.
I would
buy that. I'd literally buy that.
I would buy that too. I love.
I think it would be fun.
DC did Unwrapped of like Hush and a lot.
Yes. Oh, I have all the unwraps.
Raw pencils. Because I'm a penciler guy, so I'm gonna be a little biased. But I love seeing this. It's
Same
like
here.
you do an ash can of just your raw pencils and stuff like that. I'll do it.
Do you have any YouTubes or the YouTubes or the Instagrams where you show your process?
I'm everywhere under my name. So if you just look up my name, you'll find me. I also have a website which I really need to update. It's JimO'ReillyArt.com. If you go there, you'll see some of my oldest stuff, horrible stuff, which is fine. I'll eventually get to that. Like I said, my thing is, my focus right now is creating, not so much the marketing end of it. But yeah, if you look me up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook under my name, friend me, so, and I'll certainly add.
And it's finished, not perfect, but it's finished, and it's getting to perfection. That's it. It looks great.
I do have Greg Harms is going to be doing the inking. I'm just like, it's weird. When I do pencils for myself, so I know that I'm going to ink it. So like I bring it to the stage that I need to bring it to, but I feel like, and I'm nothing against Greg whatsoever. I just feel like I have to bring it to a more finalized pencil stage.
You hear that, Joe?
For him to ink, and he's like, no. He's like, don't give me, just get it to that certain point, and I'll interpret it. And it's weird because I started inking that page that I was working on, and I just out of habit, I just started inking it. I'm like, oh, I need to stop.
I love the energy in here. It looks great. I get it.
But we're getting there. But for me, I'm not putting any I don't have a script written for this. I have a bullet point outline in a Google document, and I'm just creating the story. I like telling the story visually first, and I'll go in, I'll add the dialogue later. There are some like this page that I was working on. I do have some, there's some caption points that I wanted to make sure that there's a saying that she says, and of course, please don't mind the lettering is horrible. But just like putting in like certain things, I can add in the certain dialogue that I do want in there. I just want to add it in at certain points.
I don't give it all away. I'm gonna want to read. I'm gonna go back and read your entire comic with all these bubbles that you're putting in there. I'm gonna examine all your thumbnails and go, "Oh, I know the story now." But I'm so happy that you're sharing this with me, because this is something that I think is good for our audience to kind of see in terms of how this creative process that Jim goes through. I think Marius and I, we have an art, we're looking at this from an artist perspective, and of course, Mike, you're looking at it from this over, the editor in chief, brain guy at the top. But it's great to see this, because this is often what you don't get to see. A lot of people only see the finished product. They don't see all the labor of love and all the thumbnails, and even like you said, the energy that's initially there, and maybe it gets somewhat diminished, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but it gets transferred to a finished inked piece, and then that has a different feeling to it than raw pencils. And I, for one, can appreciate this point of the creative process. And I think our audience, if they're watching it, it's good to see the behind the scenes part of it, to see what goes through.
I can't take any credits for the coloring. I'm very fortunate. I don't know how. I just got lucky. It just boils down to I got lucky. Someone saw this page and was like, "Oh, do you have a colorist?" I'm like, "Well, let me send you out this page. Show me what you can do. I'll pay you for it." The whole 9 yards. I paid them. And Sigmund Torre is his name. And He's the colorist now. I told him he doesn't have a choice. I'm like, I gave him no
I hope he has a
cues.
contract or something.
I said I gave him no cues, nothing, and he delivered this first colored page back, and I'm like, perfect. I'm like, done. Like you're the colorist. I'm going to pay you up front. I work a job as well, so I'm able to take some of that and put it towards the book, which is great. So I'm going to pay him up front because I want to keep him. And I didn't realize this. I guess he did some of the work on the Black Eyed Peas comic that they did for Marvel.
They had a comic?
He's done like stuff from Image. I'm like, really? I'm like, did you see him? I'm like, you're hired. I'm like, you're going nowhere. So nobody touch him.
That's exactly the good thing about how the way the nature of social media and having a platform out there right now, like, you know, and hopefully Comics Cast can kind of put independent creators together too to come up with some magic. But this goes to show that, this is something that, heck, we're talking to Marius in the Philippines right now. I mean, for crying out loud, it's like what? It's 3 a.m. over there.
It's actually 3 a.m. here right now.
Yeah, so to me, it's like it's wonderful that we can collaborate, we can talk, we can share our passion globally, and see where it's going to. And I, for one, enjoying every bit of it. And
social media is great for like meeting, like Jimmy Reyes, who inks for David was going to say Greg Capullo.
David
oh my God! Can you tell I'm a little tired? He inks for Dave Finch, and he saw this cover. He's like, "Oh, I want to ink it." So I'm like, "Yeah, send me your page rate. Be glad to have you on the cover." And he was excited to do it, and I love the fact that that in this, I'd say it's probably one of the very few benefits of this stupid pandemic thing, that we are able to meet and connect with artists and on all different levels. I've been able to be on Jason Brubaker's show, and he's been kind enough to have me on his show so I got to meet Doug TenNapel, and it's just creators that I don't endorse people as human beings if I like their work. Like, if I like your work, it doesn't mean I endorse you as a human being, but they're great, great creators that I'm able to meet with, and I'm just knock on wood, and I'm fortunate, I'm thankful even for you guys for having me on the show. And who would have thought that that it could even happen, so I think there's a lot of opportunity out there even amidst this stuff. I think just if you I don't want to say take advantage of it, but if you just you be cool and you meet people and interact on a somewhat professional level, you can really do some great things. So I'm excited about getting this book done and getting it out there, and
we're looking forward to
just having people enjoy it.
Coming off of Gerald and Jim, what you guys are saying, I think we should close up the show. You can't beat that. It's fantastic.
Well said.
But it's hard to, you don't want to say anything like, let's take advantage of the pandemic, but we're all creatives, keep grinding. It's an opportunity to keep grinding and keep building those relationships. Marius, thanks for being on the show. You're a fantastic artist.
Mike,
I remember, I think I was scrolling in my feed and I saw your artwork, and I was like, whoever that is needs to be on the show instantaneously, because it stopped. I stopped breathing for a second. I was like, whoa, this is an independent book.
I'm going to tell
Very
you,
nice.
I was following Marius before Borbane. I was already a fan of Marius's work. So that's why when you brought it up, I was like, whoa, that's that guy. But I'm happy that you guys are all here, and it looks like we lost Jim there, but we're gonna leave it on.
I think he decided to leave the show. He left early.
Joe,
left early.
I'll let you close it out, and we can.
Yeah, and then Michael, thanks for being on the show. I mean, congrats on all your success. I think if anybody's been listening to what's been going on,
sorry,
Michael, obviously, no, you're good, Jim. And I think Michael is a perfect representation of somebody who understands, hey, you gotta get on the pages. Once you decide to go live on your campaign, it's not, hey, I shot it up there, let's see what happens. You got to really get out there and see people get on these programs, across social media, and really just get out there and beat the pavement. So congratulations on hitting your goals. I was already sold on your story when you told it. I mean, that was amazing. I was blown away. So I was like, man, this is really cool. And I like the artwork. So that's pretty neat.
The big thing I'm looking forward to at this point is the feedback. Like,
yeah.
Like,
I mean, for zero issues,
what we have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just want to thank everyone who's been on the show, Alton, and it was just a great show. You know, it was a pleasure to hang out with you guys as indie guys. You know, like I said, we don't have enough shows. You know, the indie challenge is real, so we'll try to make more shows available. And because the purpose is the indie platform building, growing, and unifying. So that's what it's all about. You know, we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to highlight industry guys as well, that they're amazing because they also work with indie artists. Like we said, we got Jimmy and others. You guys are working with some of our former established artist guests. So it's all unified. It's all a circle. And there is no competition. There is no spoon. We just got to make it happen. So that being said, thank you guys for being on the program. We'll go ahead and close it up. Thanks for everybody hanging out with us online and asking questions and jumping on. We're going to keep trying to let that be an opportunity for fans and artists to jump on and just kind of chat and hang out with us. That being said, it's usually an hour, 30 minutes. We had so much fun. We went a little long. Thank you guys, and stay safe.
Keep on drawing.
Thank
Comics
you.
Cast. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.